Well, they are the defending World Cup champions for no reason. Australia capped off a resounding 5-match ODI series against India in some style. Down 0-2 in the series, the juggernaut began rolling right from Ranchi. Ranchi tick, Mohali tick, and now at the Firozshah Kotla in New Delhi, where Australia won the series 3-2 after winning the match at Kotla by 35 runs. Noah Lisser reporting here for CricketCountry. I have with me Amir Tilak. We're just going to talk about the talking points. But before we get into that, let's quickly recap what has been a dramatic turnaround of events at the Firozshah Kotla in New Delhi. Remember, Australia won the toss and expectedly opted to bat on a pitch that was definitely going to turn during the course of the evening. Usman Khwaja, wow. He set foot on Indian soil ahead of the series without any international ODI centuries. He goes back home with two, one of them coming in the series decider at New Delhi. And coupled with Peter Hanscom's 52, Australia made 272, which was going to be for India a tricky run chase. And mind you, they definitely started in their run chase. Rohit Sharma firing with a half century. But at the end, India not quite managing to get on to reach their target, which gives Australia their first ODI series win since 2017, and more importantly, a much-needed ODI trophy in the cabinet ever since the ball tampering scandal during the Cape Town Test in March last year. Amaya, coming to the talking points. What is so special about this Australia series win in Delhi?
Yeah, the top order fight today, although Finch got out little early than he should have, but the opening partnership was around 75-76, then followed by Hanscom and Usman Khwaja's 90-run partnership. Although Australia had a wobble in the middle order, this Pat Cummins and Jai Richardson combination once again did well for them. The last 4 overs, India gave away around 42 runs. And I think, although it not to a great extent, but it backfired for India, which they could have restricted Australia around 250. We never know. India could have won this game, but again, the margin of runs was 35, and Australia, as Noel rightly said, win the series 3-2, a much-needed win for them.
Right, talking about those 42 runs that came in those last 4 overs, how crucial is that even for a player like Bowie to kind of concentrate on his batting? We do know how well he scored today. He departed 4 runs short of a half century. Concentrating even the bowlers to some extent concentrating on their batting might help in those 42 runs, like we saw how crucial they were today, right?
Yeah, Bowie played well, but again, there was no support for him, barring Kedar Jadhav, and again, with Kuldeep, Bumrah and Shami, they can't bat for a longer period. That might be those 15 or 20 runs at times, in which Shami might hit one big six, or as Bumrah showed in the last match there, but those occasions are very rare. Indian topper, including Kohli, couldn't score heavily, then the likes of Ravindra Jadeja struggled, although Rohit scored 56, Dhawan failed once again. So, and again, it was a tricky wicket. Even Bishan Singh Bedi had tweeted earlier having his issues with the wicket, and even Finn said that he hoped that the wicket will stay strong. Even Kohli wanted to bat first on this wicket, so it pretty much says whatever the overall team approach from both the sides.
Well, Australia is shaping up to be a good World Cup squad. Remember, throw in Smith, throw in David Warner, Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood. Wow, we have a good selection headache right there when the squad announced 45 days before the D-date. What are we looking at as far as India is concerned? Well, right now, the IPL comes into the picture, and if players perform well in the IPL, Amir, it also will add some context as to how the squads will be picked.
Yeah, well, Kohli, right before this ODI series, said that IPL will not hold that great a value in terms of team selection. But I think the one spot that he spoke about, especially when he said that 14 slots are pretty much sealed, but at one spot it can go here and there. It might throw in the likes of DK, and if it's pretty much left field thinking. But then if, let's say, the likes of Rahane or Shreyas Iyer, those guys score heavily, then you never know. Selectors might want to go that way, but considering Rishabh Pant's failure in last 2 games, not with just the bat, but overall in the wicket keeping as well, then DK might be a front runner to make a comeback, even though he wasn't part of the squad in this series. With selectors wanting to have Rishabh Pant to play all the 5 games, although he just played 2, you never know that DK might make a comeback. But otherwise, those 14 players, including Hardik Pandya making a comeback, as Kohli pointed out, Indian team for World Cup is pretty much sealed batting at one spot.
Rishabh Pant definitely didn't capitalize on his slot today. He could have taken away, hogged that strike, but he fell very cheaply. Vijay Shankar also didn't manage to grab the number 4. But is it game over for Ambati Rayudu for the number 4 slot?
You never know. With no one performing that great on the number 4 slots, Ambati Rayudu will be there in contention. With DK, Rishabh Pant, I think Vijay Shankar will definitely board that flight to London, to England. Although he didn't score heavily in today's game, but he had showed glimpses that he can handle spin and pace very effectively. So I think he will board that flight for the World Cup.
Right. So Vijay Shankar, there's going to be a good selection headache for the number 4 slot, which is still left open. Kohli has not mentioned who is that player for obvious reasons. He wants the squad to be officially announced, but it more or less looks like that it's like the number 4 slot or the wicketkeeper slot.
Yeah, largely, I personally don't see Kohli batting at number 4, although he and Ravi Shastri earlier said that they will not mind Kohli batting at number 4. But after the last game, Kohli once again batted at number 3, giving pretty much an indication that he will retain that spot, and rightfully so, because he has scored so many runs on that, including the match-winning 100 in chases or setting up the total. So I don't see Kohli batting at number 4. So India might want to go back to Dhoni or someone like Dinesh Karthik or even Vijay Shankar come into picture for the number 4 slot.
So ahead with the IPL coming in, if Dinesh Karthik does manage to get runs under his belt, remember he was last season's highest run scorer for KKR, but if he does manage to get runs under his belt, who knows, he might just board that flight to England. Australia, well, they have 5 ODIs against Pakistan left in Sharjah before they they're already peaking at the right time. Throw in Warner and Smith in that squad. We all know how dangerous that squad becomes. But for Australia, a good side right now, even without Warner, Smith and Stark.
Yeah, Australia played well. They played as a team, although they were not like standard performances, someone can say. Although, let's say Khwaja scored 383 runs or Cummins scored 14. But if and when the time was there, the likes of Glenn Maxwell, or in the last game, Ashton Turner turned up. Even Peter Handscomb scored those around 150 odd runs in the last 2 games. So they are doing well as a team. Even if Steve Smith or Warner comes in, it might mean that Sean Marsh might not get a game time, because whenever he played in the series, he couldn't score heavily. While as Khwaja, even Finch or Handscomb, Maxwell, those guys, whenever given the opportunity, they tried to do their best.
There were these guys who were just there in the Australian squad, like Turner, who was just there to replace these guys, but they have now made a pressing case for themselves as far as the World Cup is concerned. That has been Australia's story so far, and if they do manage to grab the World Cup, they do manage to defend the World Cup, that is, it'll be the story of Australia this year. So we're looking at Australia peaking at the right time and just about kind of having a good selection headache going into the World Cup. Whereas for India, well, the IPL coming into the picture, they'll have to perform there. As far as the squads is concerned, the IPL will be a good training ground there.
Yeah, it can be, but again, those 13 or 14 which Kohli was indicating that who will definitely go to England, they will have to take care of the injuries or all the other workload management, as Bhuvaneshwar Kumar had discussed before the, I think, 3rd ODI. But it will be a good good exposure for all the guys who will be part of the World Cup to play some of the games, at least press their skills and everything, and then board the flight to England. Although they are in top shape fitness-wise or otherwise, but barring those 1-2 spots, those 2 guys or those 3 guys will need to up their game.
Right, so if you're an India fan, you have to watch very closely on your India players, and they themselves should not bog themselves down with extra workload, keeping in mind the team's national duty for the World Cup. Whereas Australia, well, they got to fine-tune their team with additions like Warner and Smith, and when after doing that, they look to be in the team looks to be in good stead to defend the World Cup. So that sums up the series for now. We move on to the Indian Premier League, which starts off on March 23rd. So do stick around for live updates, videos, and much more at CricketCountry.